Okay, let's see if we could make this work. So I'm going to try and do a video of this lesson. So for anybody that wants to watch this and try and figure some stuff out, let me get my active board going. So first of all, what do you notice about the zeros or the factors up here and the x-intercepts here? Factors in the equation and the x-intercepts. You notice -5, if you plug it in for the x's, you get 0 times -4 times -8, and with 0 times anything, 0. What about -1? If I plug -1 in for all the x's, technically this one too, 4 times 0 times -4, 0 times anything is 0. Okay, so hopefully you're noticing the zero product property. You would have heard this in algebra. The old books called it ZPP. If you multiply things together, if A, this shouldn't be way over here. If A times B times C equals 0, then either A is 0, or B is 0, or C is 0. It's either 0 times B times C equals 0. It doesn't matter which one is 0. A times 0 times C is 0. A times B times 0. Anything being multiplied, if there's one 0, it makes the whole thing 0. So what makes x minus 2 equal 0? When x is positive 2. What makes x plus 1 0? When x is negative 1. So what makes all the equations true? Notice they all equal 0. What makes x plus 4 equal 0? When x equals -4. What makes x plus 2 equal 0? When x equals -2. What makes x minus 1 equal 0? So they have to be multiplied though. It has to be one thing times another to get 0. It doesn't matter how many of them you multiply. Look at each one separately and you're going to get an answer. So go ahead and take a minute and type in what you think is the answer for B. What makes x plus 4 equal 0? When x equals -4. What makes x plus 1 equal 0? X equals -1. Now, when it means squared, that just means x plus 4 times x plus 4. This one is also squared. X plus 2 times x plus 2. So technically there's really 4 parentheses, But notice what makes this one 0, -4. What makes this one 0, -4. You don't need to write an answer to the same answer twice. What makes this one 0, -2. What makes this one 0, -2. So you only need 2 answers, -4, -2. All right, so try this one on your own. What makes F different than D and E? Remember when we factored in the previous in 2.3? You cannot figure out what makes everything 0 if it's not factored into parentheses. So how do we split up x squared to make it into factored form? X and x, think backwards. These have to be multiplied to get 4, and they have to subtract to get 3. So 4 and 1, 4 times 1 is 4, and then plus 4 minus 1. The 3 comes when you distribute the inside and outside pieces, because you get 4x minus 1x to get a positive 3x. So once you factor it, that's where you set each factor equal to 0 and solve for x. Now, notice in E, you might not be able to see exactly what makes them equal 0. You can kind of guess with the first one. So sometimes what I'll do is I'll say split it apart and actually write what makes 2x plus 8 equal 0. Just set each factor equal to 0. How would you solve this equation? Well, you'd minus 8, divide by 2, and x equals -4. What makes 7x minus 3 equal 0? Well, you add 3 to both sides, divide by 7, and if 7 can't go into 3 evenly, leave it as a fraction. What makes x minus 10 equal 0? Add 10. And those are your 3 answers. So if you weren't just kind of noticing what the answers were, you can always just set each factor equal to 0 and solve. So just kind of continue, see if you can figure this out. Notice this little x here, that's a factor. You have to set x equal to 0. Each x part that you see, you've got to set equal to 0 and solve. All right, so see the basic structure. You're always taking x minus values, right? So now if we want to go backwards, what if I know -5 makes the equation true? Now you can just start with 0 equals, because when you write an equation, you better have an equal sign or it's not an equation. All right. So if -5 makes the equation equal 0, I have to have x plus 5 as a factor. If I have x plus 5, when I put -5 in for x, that makes this part of the equation equal 0. Times, if 4 makes the equation equal 0, I take x minus 4. And anytime you've got a 0, you just stick the x. Usually we put it at the beginning, but the beginning or end, I don't care. Okay, these are the big ideas. This is a matching again. Look for the error. I've kind of given you the big ideas, so see if you can put it together and go through the rest of the slides.